Hello my friends! Today we are gonna create this professional admin panel design using React.js. This is our dashboard. There are small widgets here showing some sales information. Here is the analytic chart that shows us our active users per month. And two more widgets, new members and last transactions. When I click users, the user list shows up. It's a really useful data grid here. You can select them, cancel, and select all, and sort them by clicking any title here. I can delete them. If I click this edit button, it opens the user page. We can see here user information and we can update any of them. And here is the create button. I can create new user here, and the same things for the products. On the single product page, you can reach the sales analytics, information, and edit form. And don't forget, it's just a design. We are not connected to any DB. And for the future projects, we are gonna use this admin panel. We are gonna create a shopping application, Netflix application. And for all, we are gonna be using this design and create our own CRUD operations. So I hope you will enjoy. If you want to see more projects like this, you can subscribe to the channel and like the video. So if you are ready, let's get started. So this is our main folder. Inside this folder, I'm gonna create my React application. I will say npx create React app. And I'm gonna install inside this folder. I will say dot and enter. So during installation, let's come here inside the browser. So we are gonna use two libraries. One of them will be material icons. So you can write any icons here and choose any of them and add your website. So second one will be reCharts. It's a really useful charting library. We are gonna use this. Firstly, let's install this material UI. So I'm gonna use material icons. I will copy this, and here it's ready, by the way. I will say yarn add, or if you are using npm install, and I'm gonna paste it. And additionally, I should use material core also. I will copy and paste. And we are not gonna use only material icons. Later, let's write here table, data table. So we are gonna be using this data table. It's really useful. So you can sort them, select them. It's really easy to use. So okay, we installed them. And right now I'm gonna install this reCharts. So I will copy this and paste here. So it's gonna install these three libraries. I'm gonna enter and wait. Okay, right now I can clean my application. This icon, any logo, we don't need them. You don't have to delete, but I wanna see here clean a little bit. And inside source, I will delete these CSS files, logo, and test files. Okay. Right now I'm gonna clean inside my HTML file. As you can see, we have logo here and some JSON file here. We don't need them. Let's clear. And here. Okay. So I'm gonna change this title. Let's say admin app. And I'm gonna delete this icon. Okay. Right now, let's find our font family. I'm gonna write here fonts.google.com. And inside search input, I'm gonna write source sans. Okay, we are gonna use this. You can also download this family and put inside your application, but it's not needed. We can use this Google Fonts CDN. So I'm gonna choose my family here. We don't need these italic things, so bold 1, 700, maybe 9. Okay, so I can copy this and paste inside my index file. I will copy this, and here, let's paste here. Okay, so right now I can go to index file, index.js here. So as you can see, we have index CSS, let's delete, and this report web. Okay, so index app.js, finally, after cleaning here, will be done. And inside this, okay, let's write here hello and see. So I'm gonna start my application. I will say yarn start or npm start. Okay, as you can see, it's still in default font family. So I'm gonna change this. Let's come here and CSS rules. I will copy this and I'm gonna create a style. You can create a style file, but I tend to use inside this index file. So I'm gonna create style here. We don't need to create any CSS file because it's just 2 lines of codes. So I'm gonna choose my document and inside my family. I will save. As you can see, it has changed. So I can delete these spaces. To do that, I will say margin 0. Okay, perfect. So I can close this index file and this JS. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, firstly, I'm gonna create a top bar here. So let's create component folder here. I will say components and inside my top bar folder. And inside this folder, I'm gonna create my JS file and CSS file, topbar.jsx. By the way, you can use JS here, but I highly recommend to use JSX. That's because we will be able to use our HTML elements inside this JSX. Okay, so let's create our component. I will say RFC. It's a shortcut for React applications. So how you can use this? Let's come here, extensions. And here, this is my extension. You can download this and activate. And after that, you can use all of these shortcuts. Okay, let's close. And here I will say top bar. So how I'm gonna use this top bar component? Let's come here. So I can delete hello and I will say top bar. I'm gonna import this component. As you can see, this is our path. So let's see. As you can see, okay, perfect, it's here. So let's close here. So let's delete this class name. Okay, so I can close this and take care of my top bar here. So what I'm gonna do, firstly, I'm gonna split this top bar and left side will contain my logo here, my website name, and here we are gonna add some icons and profile picture. So let's do that. I'm gonna give class name here, let's say top bar, and inside this div, I'm gonna create a wrapper, let's say top bar wrapper, and inside, let's split this. First one will be top left, and second one will be top right. And inside, let's write something left, right. If I do that, as you can see, they are not in the same row. So there are a couple methods, but my recommendation is using flexbox. I will come here and create CSS file. Let's say topbar.css. By the way, I know some of you say, why you are using CSS? You can use Sass or just Material UI or style components. But for the beginners, believe me, it's the best option. In the future, after our beginner tutorials, we are gonna use all of them, don't worry. So I will import my CSS file, import inside same folder and top bar CSS. Okay, so I can use these class names. I will say top bar. This is our main div, as you remember. I will say width 100%. And let's say height 50 pixels and background color will be white. So inside wrapper, top bar wrapper. Height will be 100%, which is 50 pixels here, because it's child of this top bar, so it's gonna be 50 pixels. So I will give some padding from top and bottom 0 pixel and left and right 20 pixels. So I will say display flex. Okay, we couldn't apply it. That because my mistake here, wrapper. Okay, right now as you can see, they are in the same row. So how can I split them? I will say align item center. It's gonna center them vertically, and I will say justify content space between. As you can see, this is in the left side and this is right. If I say here, for example, space around, it gives some spaces here. If you say space evenly, as you can see, this, and these spaces are the same. So let's turn back, space between, perfect. So let's create our logo. You can use any image, but I prefer using text here. I didn't prepare any logo. So I will say span, and class name will be logo. And I will say Lama admin. Let's come here. Firstly, I will say font weight bold and font size 30 pixels. And I'm gonna say color dark blue. And I'm gonna give cursor pointer. Perfect. It's really minimal. We don't need any image. So let's create something inside this right side. Firstly, I'm gonna create 3 icons here, but before I'm gonna wrap them, I will say top bar icons or icon container, and here I can create my icons. Let's come here inside material and icons. Okay. Firstly, I'm gonna create notification. This one is good. So how I'm gonna import this? Let's click. As you can see, you can import this like that, but there is one more way and it's easier, I think. You can delete this icon text and just take these notifications. So let's copy and paste and I'll show you. So instead of like this, I will delete and here. And if I cover this with curly brackets, I can use it easily because we are going to use multiple icons here. Instead of writing them like that for each icons, first way is much better. Okay, let's write here this component. I will say notifications none. So let's see here. As you can see, it's here. So what I'm gonna do is adding here some small badge. It's gonna indicate our notification number, how many notifications do we have. So let's change this actually. I will say icon container. And here I'm gonna create a small span. I will say span and class name will be top icon badge. So let's write here just 2. So I'm gonna open my CSS. Actually, I will split this frame. Click this button. It's gonna split. Okay. So I will copy this container and I'm gonna make this position relative. So why I'm using relative? That because I'm gonna make this, oops, it's gonna be badge. That because I'm gonna make this badge position absolute. Let's see. Okay, so I can give position right now. If I say top -5 and right 5, and let's give background color here. Oops. Okay, I didn't save here. Okay, as you can see, we just gave some position. You can play around here, for example 0. As you can see, it's a little bit down right now. -5 is perfect, I think. So let's give some style. I will say color white. And I'm gonna give border radius. It's gonna be circle. something like that. But as you can see, it's not circled. That because we didn't give any width and height. I will say 15 pixels. Okay, right now we have other problem that because our number is not centered, I can use display flags and center this. Align item center, justify content center. Okay, perfect. But it's really big. Let's give font size. I will say 10 pixels. We can change this position, but before I'm gonna create other icon here. Let's copy this 2 times. And second one will be language. This one, I will copy this name and here. And third one will be settings. This one. Okay, let's use them. It's gonna be language and settings. Okay, they are vertical right now because we didn't use display flags. For this right side, I will copy this, and before this icon and container, I will say top right, display flags, and I will center them vertically. Okay, nice. So I can delete this batch here because inside settings we don't need. I will come here, and for these containers I will say cursor pointer, and I can give margin right. Okay, nice. I can change color. Let's say 555. Okay, better. I can move this badge to a little bit right. So let's say 0. Okay, it's better, I think. Right now I can create here my profile picture. After these settings, I will create image, and it's gonna be top avatar. So inside this you can create any image folder, but I prefer using from link. I don't wanna waste time because I don't have any image. Okay, it's here. Oops, wrong point. Okay, so I can change this avatar. I will say width 40, height 40, and I will say border radius 50%. Okay, perfect. I can give cursor pointer also. Okay, nice. You can reduce these numbers as you wish. So we completed our top bar, but one more thing. Let's come here inside app.js. So let's write something here. Test, and I will duplicate this. Okay, right now I can scroll, but when I scroll, as you can see, it's going to up. So how can I fix this? I will come here to top bar. I will say position sticky. So I'm gonna indicate my position, and it's gonna be top 0. So it's gonna stay always in the top 0. Let's see. I'm scrolling. Perfect. It's always there. So I'm gonna do one more thing. I will say set index 999. So this means it's gonna be over every elements inside this application. So if we create here some other components, it's never gonna be over this top bar. Okay, perfect. So we finished our top bar. I will close them. And here, let's create another component. I will create new folder, and it's gonna be sidebar, sidebar.jsx, and sidebar.css. Okay, let's create function rfc and my CSS file and my class name. So let's come here and delete these tests. And right now I can call my sidebar component, But I will do one more thing, that because we are gonna split this under top bar. First one will be our sidebar here, and second one will be our other pages. So this top bar and sidebar will be fixed. They will never be changed. We are gonna only change here. So what I will say, let's create here a div, and it's gonna be container. And this is what I was telling you. I can't use this like that because it's not JSX file. It was a good example for the understand, I think. So you should write here manually. It's gonna be class name. So if you wanna use these shortcuts, you should change this into JSX file. I'm not doing because if you do that, you have to restart your application. So it's not that important. So what I will say, I'm gonna create my sidebar here. Sidebar, as you can see, it's imported here. And here, let's write something, other pages. So as we did before, how I'm gonna split this? Let's create CSS file here. I will say app.css. And here, import this CSS file. Okay, right now I can use this container. I will say display flex. Okay, so how I'm gonna give sizes for this sidebar and other pages. So for now, let's create here another div. It's gonna be temporary. We are not gonna use this. Oops. And I will say class name others for now. So what I want is, I wanna give a width for this sidebar. If it's 1 unit, for example, like here, and other pages will be 4 units. So it's gonna be 4 times bigger than this sidebar. If I come here inside sidebar, and as you remember, this is our main container, I will copy this and I will say flex 1. It's gonna be 1 unit. And if I come here and say others, it was other or others, okay, others, I will say flex 4, and I'm gonna give background color and we can see better. As you can see, sidebar is 1 unit and other pages 4. If I make this, for example, 10, it's gonna be 10 times bigger than this sidebar. So I'm gonna change this, it's gonna be 4. Okay, perfect. So I think you understood here. I can delete this, we don't need it. And these pages also. We are gonna create our own pages here later. Okay, let's take care of this sidebar. So again, I'm gonna create wrapper here, and it's gonna be some small title like dashboard, quick menu or something like that. And inside them, I will create some lists. So let's do that. I can close here. And inside sidebar, I will say sidebar wrapper. So I'm gonna create 3 menu here, sidebar menu. And inside this menu, firstly, I'm gonna create my title. It's gonna be sidebar title. Let's say dashboard. And then I'm gonna create a list. UL sidebar list, and inside list item, sidebar list item. So what I'm gonna add inside this list item? Firstly, I'm gonna add an icon. Let's come here, line style. So I will use this. I will copy, and here, let's create here material icons. From material icons, so I can use this. And additionally, I'm gonna write a text here. It's gonna be home. Let's see. Okay, as you can see, this is our title, icon, and our text. Let's create other items. I will copy this Second one will be analytics. And here, let's say sales. Of course, I'm gonna change these icons. Let's come here, timeline, this one. And third one will be trending up. This one. Okay, let's change them. Timeline and trending up. Let's see. Okay, nice. So let's give some background and some height for this menu. I will come here. Actually, I will split this again. Let's close them. If I make this bigger, let's check. I don't know which one is better. It's really big, I think. Let me know in the comments if you wanna see bigger. I can change in the next tutorial. Okay, anyway. So what I will say here, I wanna make this full screen, but if I say 100 VH here, it's gonna overflow. That because our top bar is 50 pixels here. So I can use calculate. I will say height, calculate, and I will say 100 VH minus 50 pixels. We can't see anything. Let's give background color dark blue. We are gonna change this. Okay, it was mistake deleting this app.js other container. Let's take this back and app CSS. I will delete this background color. Okay. As you can see, it's right now 100%. If I delete this and write 100 VH, as you can see, it's overflowing. Okay. I will make this sticky again because it's gonna stay here in any case. And I'm gonna indicate my position, top 50. That because it's under this top bar, it's gonna start from here. So even if we scroll the page, it's gonna be stay here. Perfect. So let's change this color. I wanna make this really light, something like that. Okay, perfect. So I can give some padding for this wrapper here. I will say padding 20 pixels, and I'm gonna change text color. It's gonna be 555. Okay, nice. So I will say sidebar menu. It's gonna be margin bottom 10 pixels. That because if I duplicate this, as you can see, there is a space here. Okay. So what can I do more? I can change this sidebar title. I will say font size 13 pixels, and I'm gonna change the color. It's gonna be really light gray. Maybe a little bit darker. Okay, nice. So let's change this list. I don't want any dots there. I will say sidebar list. And list style will be none. And I'm gonna change padding. Okay, perfect. I can give some padding inside this list item. I will copy this. And I will say padding 5 pixels and cursor pointer. Something like that. So how I'm gonna center these items? I will make this display flex. Perfect. So I can give some border radius. That because when we hover them or click them, we are gonna change the color. So I will say border radius. It's gonna be 10 pixels. So when I make this active, or when I hover this, hover So I'm gonna change background color. So let's copy this background color and it's gonna be darker. I will change it like this. And I'm gonna make this home active. Let's see. Okay, it's different home. It should be this one. Okay, something like that. Maybe a little bit lighter. Okay, nice. So what else I can do? I can give some margin here and make this icon smaller. To do that, I'm gonna add here class name. It's gonna be sidebar icon. I will copy this, and for others, these are not important, I can delete them. And I will say sidebar icon. And I will say margin right 5 pixels. And font size will be 20 pixels. But as you can see, they are still in same size. If you want to change material icon size, you can write here important. Okay, perfect. So we created our first menu here. Let's create other ones. I will choose this and duplicate. Okay, so let's change these titles. It's gonna be quick menu. By the way, you can create another component and you can call it sidebar menu. You don't have to write them again and again. But for now, it's totally okay. If I split every components here into small pieces, this tutorial will be 5 hours or something, so we don't need them. So I will say notifications. And finally, let's say stuff. Okay, so I can change them quickly. I will choose my icons here and create other menus. Okay, I completed. It looks really nice. So in this case, we finished our menu also. Let's create something for here. So it's gonna be our page. So I can create here other folder. Let's close this. So it's gonna be pages. So which pages we are gonna have? First one will be our home page. It's gonna include our widgets here, sales, some analytics, and here we are gonna create a chart. And after that, maybe new users. We can show here quick users, something like that. And when we click this, we are gonna see our user lists. And when we click these products, we are gonna see our product lists. And we are gonna have new user page, new product page, something like that. But for now, I'm gonna create a home page here. It's enough for now. I will say home. And let's create our CSS and JSX file. Oops, JSX. And one more, home.css. Okay, let's create here our function. I will delete this and import my home CSS. And let's write here class name and home. Home. Okay, so let's go to the app.js. Right now we don't need these others. Instead, I'm gonna call my home component. Sorry, home page. Okay. By the way, let's delete this other CSS also. Okay. So what I will do is making this home page flex 4. So I will come here and my home flex will be 4. Okay, perfect. There will be some info, our sales information, revenue information, and cost information. So let's create another component here. I will say featured info. Info.jsx. info, and CSS. So I can close this sidebar, app.js, and I will open this and create my function and my CSS file, featured info.css, and class name will be featured. There will be 3 items. Let's create another div here, and it's gonna be featured item. So what we are gonna add inside this item, firstly we will have title, sales for example, and then our price, our rate. Let's just write, and you can understand right now. I'm gonna create a span here, and class name will be featured title. I will say revenue, and after that I'm gonna create another container. It's gonna be money container, that because our price and rate will be in the same row. So I will say featured money container, let's say, and inside another span and featured money. So let's write some price here, and one more money rate, and I will say -11. And after that I'm gonna add here an icon. If it's minus, it's gonna be down arrow. If it's positive, it's gonna be up arrow. So let's write here down. This one, I will copy this name and import this name, and from material UI and icons. So I can use this. I'm gonna use this inside this span. I will say arrow, and finally another span, and it's gonna be featured subtitle or something like that. Let's say sub, and I will say compared to last month. Okay, so I can use this inside homepage. I will come here and call my component here featured info. Okay, let's see. Okay, perfect. It's gonna be our first item. So let's create others. I will come here and duplicate this. It's gonna be sales. Let's change here and here. It's still minus, and here let's say cost. I will change here, doesn't matter actually, and this time it's not gonna be downward, it's gonna be upward. If you write here, you can still import, as you can see, from material UI. It's here. Let's see, and it's gonna be positive of course, and I will say, let's say 2. Okay, something like that. So let's split this CSS file here and close this menu. Okay. I will shrink this a little bit. Okay, perfect. So I can write everything inside my CSS file right now. Firstly, let's copy this container, and it's gonna be with 100%, and I will make this flexbox, and I'm gonna split every element inside. It's gonna be space between. So for each item, I will say flex1, so they will be in the same size. I will give some margin from top and bottom and left and right, and I will give padding. Perfect. I will give border radius, that because we are gonna use box shadow. And finally, I will say cursor pointer. Okay, we can't see anything, that because we don't have any box shadow. To do that, you don't have to memorize any box shadow property. So you can write here box shadow generator. And let's choose this one. And here you can arrange whatever you want. Right to left, down and up. You can spread this and some blur. You can arrange them by yourself and copy these properties and paste. But I don't want to arrange from scratch. I will just copy mine and paste here. Let's see right now. As you can see, perfect. By the way, I can give some margin for this container. Let's come here and for app CSS. For this container, I will give margin top 10 pixels. Okay, so much better. So let's take care of inside items. I will close this. And here I will copy this title. And I'm gonna say font size 20 pixels. And for this container, it includes our money here and this arrow. I can center them. But firstly, I'm gonna give some margin. 10 pixels, 0 pixel. And here, display flags and align items center. Okay, they are centered, but this container is not centered. So we will take care of this. But before, let's change this font size of this money. I will say font size 30. And font weight will be a little bit bold. Like this. Okay, let's come here. This rate container. I will make this centered. Align item center, and I will give margin left. Okay, we have margin right now and we centered them. Perfect. So I can give some class name for these icons. Let's do that. I will say class name. It's gonna be featured icon. And additionally, I'm gonna add here negative. Let's copy this and here. And here, this time it's gonna be positive, or you can just leave this blank. It will be positive. So let's copy this and here. I will say font size 14. It's gonna be a little bit smaller. And I will give margin left. And color will be green. It's gonna be positive one. If I write here negative, and color will be red. Okay, perfect. So I can change this subtitle. Let's copy this here. And I will say font size 15 and color will be gray. Perfect. It looks really nice. So we finished our featured info. Right now we can use reChart here. Let's open this here, reCharts.org, and here, if you open Quite here, you can find examples. You can play around these charts. You can see everything here. But I'm not gonna deep dive into this reCharts. We are gonna just use basic one, this simple line chart. It's really interesting website, by the way. It's not responsive at all. Okay, anyway, before starting, let's create another component here. I will close this. I will close all of them actually. And here I will say chart. And new file, chart.jsx, and CSS file. Okay, I can create my function rfc and my CSS file here, chart.css, and class name will be chart. Let's write here something and call inside our homepage. After this featured info, I will say chart. Here I will import. Oops. Okay, we have mistake with this CSS. Let's come here. Okay, I forgot our folder here. Okay, perfect. It's here. Right now I can give some padding and margin, and I'm gonna use again same box shadow here. Let's do that. I will come here and for chart, margin 20, padding 20, and let's come here, featured info CSS. I will copy this and paste here. Okay, perfect. So I can create some title here. I will close this, and here I will say h3, and class name will be chart title. And let's say sales analytics, and I'm gonna give margin here. For bottom, I will say margin bottom 20 pixels. Okay. Right now I can create my simple line chart. Let's copy this and paste here, and this data. For now, let's paste here, and after this h3, I can create my chart. Let's see here. Firstly, as you can see, we are creating responsive container. That because even if we shrink or expand our page, it's gonna be responsive. So let's give our width here. It's gonna be 100%. And one more thing here, I can indicate any height, for example 300 pixels, 400 pixels, but you can do one more thing here, writing here aspect, and it's gonna be for 1. So that means basically if the width 4 units, the height will be 1 unit. So if it's 400 pixels, it's gonna be 100 pixels. Okay, right now I can create my line chart here. I will not give any width and height because I indicated here. So let's create. So inside this line chart, I will indicate my data, and it's gonna be this data. So if I save and look at here, we can't see anything because we didn't indicate our lines, x-axis, y-axis, anything. So let's create them. Firstly, I'm gonna create my x-axis, and here its name will be this name inside our data. So I will say data key is gonna be name. So you can give anything inside this data. For example, in our project, it's gonna be our months, October, November, December, anything. It's gonna be our months. For now, it's just an example. Don't worry about them. We will delete this. Okay, I will give here stroke, and it's gonna be color of these names. So let's say 5550BD. It's gonna be our color for here. Okay. If you want to, you can create y-axis also. If you write here y-axis, as you can see, it's here. It's gonna show our sales. For example, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But if we do that, it's gonna look a little bit uglier. I don't wanna do that, so I'm gonna delete this y-axis. You can write here whatever you want. So let's create our line, most important part. So type will be, it's gonna be monotone. And we should indicate our data key here. Let's say sales, or we can use users actually. let's write active user, and I will change here. It's gonna be user analytics, or you can write whatever you want. I will copy this stroke and paste here. I don't want to change the color. As you can see, we can't see anything. That's because our data key is active user here, but we don't have any active user inside our data. Let's change them. Let's change this UV, for example. I will choose all of them and I will say active user. Let's see. As you can see, it's here. Perfect. So I can delete this PV and AMT. I will delete them. Actually, let's delete this and we can multiply this, and name will be January. So I will duplicate this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Let's change them. September, October, November, and one more, and December. So I can change these numbers. Let's see. As you can see, it looks really nice. Our months and our line. But if you realized, we can see our details here when I hover. So how I'm gonna see this? Let's come here. I will say tooltip. Right now, when I hover, as you can see, I can see my active users. So what else I can do? It looks really naked. I can add here some grid. So I will say Cartesian grid. Okay, but it looks a little bit strange. So I can change this stroke and dash arrays. I will say stroke. And this color will be really light gray, E0D FDF. Something like that. It's really light. But I want to separate these dash arrays. They are really close right now. I will say stroke dash array. And it's gonna be 5 and 5. Okay, perfect. Right now it looks really nice. It's that easy. You don't have to invent anything from scratch. Just use this library. It's really tiny. It's really useful. And as I said, you can check these all charts here, for example. But I can't show you that because of this page. It's really strange. But if you click to this sandbox button, you can see full screen here. So you can play around them, you can learn more. But for now, it's totally enough and it looks nice. And by the way, we are not gonna use this chart only inside our home page. It's gonna be reusable components, so we can use this inside maybe our users and products. So what I will do, I can take some properties here as props. For example, this title, for example, this data. So what I will do, I will come here and choose my props. By the way, you can delete them. We are not gonna use y-axis. And what's legend, by the way? Let's come here. If I write here legend, as you can see, it shows us which property we are using here. It's our active user. But we are using tooltip here, so we don't need this. I can delete from here. Okay, So which properties I'm gonna use here? I will say title. It's gonna be this title. Second one is our data. We are not gonna use this data here. And third one will be data key. Our name here, active user. And fourth one, let's say grid. So I will say here, if we have grid here, we can use this Cartesian grid. I will say grid. Okay. So what I will do, I will go to the home page. And here I'm gonna pass my props. But before, let's copy this data. And here, instead of writing inside our home page, I'm gonna create here a dummy data. Let's write here dummy data, JS, and I will paste this here. So I can export const, and let's say user data. So I can import this here. Let's say import user data from our dummy data. Dummy data. Okay. Firstly, I'm gonna pass this prop. It's gonna be our data. Second one will be our title. What was our title? User analytics, I think. Okay. Third one will be grid, because I wanna see those grids. And fourth one, what was that? Let's check here. Data key. So it's gonna be active users. By the way, I didn't change inside our chart. So I will say it's gonna be our title. And data will be data, okay. And grid is here. One more thing, our data key. I will delete this and paste. Okay, perfect. Let's check. As you can see, it's totally the same. So let's change this title, for example. As you can see, perfect. Right now it's reusable. We are gonna use this inside our products also. So we created our featured info and our chart here. So let's create our new users and their some informations here. So what I will do, let's close them. Let's create here div, and class name will be home widget. Let's say widgets. So I will come here in the CSS. I will copy this and it's gonna be flexbox. Display flex. And I will give margin 20 pixels. Okay. So let's create our first component here. It's gonna be small widget, and second one will be large one. So I will create new folder and let's say widget small. New file, widget small and JSX small and CSS. So I will copy this and paste. This time it's gonna be large, LG, and inside LG CSS and LG JSX. Okay, let's close them and open this JSX and small one. Okay, let's create our function. And my CSS file, widgets, small, and CSS, and class name will be widget small. I will say small. I will do the same thing for large one. I will say LG and here large. So I can write them inside our home page, inside this widgets div, I will say widget small and widget large. Okay, let's see. Okay, we forgot again this folder, this slash here and here. Okay, they are here. Right now I can give them flags. Let's come here, small CSS, widget small, and it's gonna be flags 1. And for large one, widget large, it's gonna be flags 2. Let's see right now. As you can see, it's 1 unit, it's 2 units. Right now I can give our box shadow again. To do that, let's come here and copy this. And for large one and also small one, I will give paddings 20 for this also. Okay, perfect. So I can give margin here for small one. Let's come here and margin right, I will say 20 pixels. Okay, perfect. Right now I can close them, this large one and home. Okay, we can take care of this small one right now. So there will be a user list, new users. Firstly, I'm gonna give my title here. Let's say span and widget small. I can copy this actually. And title. Let's say new join member. Members. And after that, I can create my list. I will say UL and widget small list. And inside this, my allies, widget small list item. So what it's gonna include? It's gonna include our user profile picture and name and job title. And after that, I'm gonna add a button. Let's do that. I will say image. It's gonna be widget small image. And for source, I will copy my link and paste here. So after this image, I'm gonna create another container. It's gonna include our username and job title. So I will say widget small. And let's say user. And firstly, span widget small username. Let's say Anna Keller. And one more, it's gonna be job title. Software engineer. So I will say user title. Okay, so after this container, we are gonna have button. It's gonna be widget small button. And inside this button, I'm gonna add an icon. Let's come here and I will say display. Okay, it's not display, maybe visible. Okay, this visibility. I will copy this here, import from our material UI and icons. Okay, I can use this icon component. I will say visibility. And additionally, I'm gonna write here my text. It's gonna be display. Okay, let's see. Oops, it's really huge. But as you can see, our image, username, title, and button. So I will duplicate this item. There will be 5 users. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's close this and open in another frame here. Okay. Firstly, I'm gonna arrange this title, widget small title. I will say font size 32 pixels and font weight will be bold. And before everything, let's arrange this image because it's really huge. We can't see anything because of this image. I will say width 40, height 40, and border radius will be 50%. And I will say object width cover. Okay, I will copy this list. I don't want any margin or padding. And list style will be none. It's gonna delete those dots. Like that. Perfect. But it's not circle. Oh. Okay. Nice. So I can make this container display flex. I will come here for this item. I will say display flex, align item center, and justify content will be space between. Something like that. So I can give some margin here. I will say margin from top and bottom 20 pixels. I don't want any for right and left. Perfect. And for this user container, I want to put this username and this title in this same column. To do that, let's copy this. Where is user? Here. I will make this display flex, but this time flex direction will be column. Like that. Awesome. Let's choose this username. Font weight bold 600. And for title, font weight will be really thin, like this. And for this button, I will copy and paste here. It's gonna be display flex and align item center. And I don't want any border, none. And border radius, let's say 5 pixels or 10. Let's see first. Okay, 10 is okay. I will give some padding from top and bottom, from right and left. Okay. I can change background color. It's gonna be EEEE F7. And color will be, text color will be gray. Something like 555, and cursor will be pointer. Okay, awesome. I can split this icon and display text. To do that, I will give here, let's choose all these visibilities. And here I will say class name, and it's gonna be widget small icon. Oops. Small. Okay, I can copy, and here I will say font size maybe 16, and I will separate them, margin right 5 pixels. Okay, something is wrong. Widget small icon. Let's write here important. And I can see this margin also. Let's refresh. Okay. Oh, I didn't save here. Okay. Okay, perfect. Maybe I can change this font size. It's really big. Let's make 22. Okay, it's better, I think. So we finished this one. Let's take care of this large one. I'm gonna open widget large here and my CSS file. Okay, so firstly I'm gonna do the same thing for title. Let's say it was H3, I think, and I'm gonna say widget large and title. I will copy this. and I will say latest transactions. And after that, I'm gonna create a table, but before, let's write here our title. It's gonna be font size 22 again, and font weight 600. I will save here and let's see. Okay, right now I'm gonna create a table here. It's gonna include our customer and transaction date, transaction amount, and it's gonna be status here. So let's do that. I'm gonna create table. I can shrink this for now. I will say table, and class name will be widget large table. I'm gonna create tr, and class name widget large tr, and inside this I can create my titles. First one will be th, and let's say widget large th, and I will say customer, and 3 more. This one will be date and amount and status. Okay, there are our titles. Right now I can create our items inside. So what I will say, I will create another tr here, widget large tr, and inside I'm gonna create each items. It's gonna be td, class name will be widget large, let's say user. It's gonna include our image and username. By the way, if you don't know anything about table, you can go to the developer.mozilla.org or W3 school or whatever, and you can just explore about 5 minutes or something. It's not that complex. Okay, so inside my user, let's say image, it's gonna be widget large image, and I'm gonna copy my profile picture here, my user avatar, inside source. Okay, so one more thing is gonna be username. So let's say span name, and it's gonna be, let's say Susan Carol. And by the way, I know writing these class names again and again can be annoying, but for the beginning it's the best option. In the future, as I said before, we are gonna use style components, material UI, and it's gonna be more advanced. Okay, what else we are gonna have? We did customer here, we have date, amount, and status. So I'm gonna create another TD here. It's gonna be widget large date, let's say 2nd June 2021. I will duplicate this. It's gonna be amount, let's say $122. I will change this. It's gonna be amount. And one more thing, it's gonna be status. And I will write here a button. But if I create like this, it's not gonna be efficient, that because we are gonna have 3 different buttons. It's gonna be approved, declined, or pending. So what I will do, let's come here and create a small component here. It's gonna be const button. It's gonna be our new component. And here I'm gonna take prop. It's gonna be type. It can be approved, declined, or pending. And I will say return. Let's create here a button. And name will be this type. You're gonna understand better right now, don't worry. So class name, I will say widget large button, and additionally I'm gonna add my type. So I will cover this and I will say type. So what we did here, we are gonna call our button here, button, and I'm gonna indicate my type. Which type it will be? It will be approved. So it's gonna look at here, type will be approved, and its class name will be widget large button, and additionally approved. And we are gonna write here approved also. So if I duplicate this, for example, let's take this, and I will write 2, 3, 4, and first one is approved. Let's make this declined, and make this pending. It can be approved also. So if we save and see, as you can see, all buttons are same. So let's make this image smaller and we can see better. I will copy this image. It's gonna be width 40, height 40, border radius, and object width. Cover. Okay, as you can see, they all are same. Let's come here and copy this button. I will say padding 5 pixels and 7 pixels, and let's delete this border, and I will give border radius 10 pixels. Okay, there is something wrong, that because we didn't give here space, they are joining each other, so I will save like that. Okay, perfect. So what I will do, I will take this button again, and I'm gonna say if it's approved, background color will be light green. So I will paste my custom color. Okay, so 2 more. If it's declined or if it's pending, I will paste them also. So let's see right now. As you can see, approved is green, declined red, and pending is blue. Perfect. So I can change text colors also. I will say color darker green. Let's copy this and change them also. It's gonna be darker red and it's gonna be darker blue. So as you can see, it's much better. Okay, so let's take care of this table. I will come here, and for table I will go to the image, and here I will make this 100% with 100%. So how I'm gonna increase this space? Border spacing, and it's gonna be 20 pixels. As you can see, it's much better. But they are centered, as you can see. I wanna align them to left. So I will copy this TH, and here I'm gonna say text align. It's gonna be left. Perfect. So let's center this user. I will copy this, and here I'm gonna center this image and username, align item center. Perfect. I can increase this font weight, maybe here, font weight 600. Let's come here inside image, maybe I can say margin right 10. Okay, it's better. So I will decrease this text weights, font weights. What was the name, date, and amount? I will say comma and amount. Font weight will be 300. Okay, perfect. So it looks really nice. Our new members, latest transactions, and our chart and our small widgets here. So we finished our homepage. It looks really nice. Of course, you can add additional things here, another chart maybe under these users, or to-do list, or whatever you want. But it's totally enough for now. I'm gonna create another page for users right now. So let's create here. I will close this, and here inside pages I'm gonna create user list, and my JSX file and CSS file, user list, and user list CSS. I will create my function, And here import my CSS file. And my class name will be user list. So what we did here, remember, this was flex 1 and this was flex 4. I will do the same thing. I will come here, user list, flex will be 4. So how I'm gonna use this user page? To do that, I'm gonna install one more library here. I will say yarn add React router DOM. So let's check this out. I'm gonna search for it, and here so it basically allows us to change our pages according to our URL. So how we are gonna do this? Firstly, we are gonna create our router, and here, as you can see, we can switch between our pages. For example, when the root, which is our URL here, is about, it's gonna call our about component or page. When it's user, it's gonna call this user's component. It's really easy. And additionally, we have links here. When we click something inside, for example, when I click this, I want to go to user's page. To do that, we are gonna use this link. It's similar to anchor tag inside HTML, but a little bit different. We are gonna use to here. We are gonna indicate our URL. So I will copy this. And I'm gonna open my app.js. Here, let's paste. Oops, import. Okay. So we are not gonna use link here. I can delete this. Firstly, I'm gonna wrap my application with this router. It's not gonna be div anymore. It's gonna be router. Our top bar will be the same. Our sidebar will be the same. We are not changing them. So I can use this switch here. I will open and close. I can move this here. And then I'm gonna use this root. I will move this also. Okay. So what I'm gonna say here, as you can see, we can indicate our path. I will say path. If it's main URL, which is just slash, it's gonna be home page. I will copy this and paste again. I will say if it's users, we are gonna go to user list. I will import this here. Okay. So let's try. It's gonna be some error here. It's our home page. Again, this CSS. I have some problem with this CSS file. Okay, this is our home page. When I write here users, as you can see, we are still in the home page. That's because our application looks into this path and it sees this slash and it says, okay, this is home page. But actually it's not. It's our users page. So what I will do here, I'm gonna write exact. If I do that, as you can see, it's empty. It's our user list. Perfect. So I can close this. Right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add material data grid here. So let's come here and I'm gonna write table here. As you can see, some different tables. You can use any of them, but in this tutorial, we are gonna use this data table. So let's come here, open the code. As you can see, we need this library. I'm gonna install, I'll say yarn add data grid. And after that, let's check what we have here. We are defining our columns, ID, first name, last name, age, whatever. And after that, we are gonna have our rows each row includes ID, last name, first name, everything inside these columns. And finally, we are gonna call this data grid. So let's do that. I will copy this for now. We are gonna change them. And here. So let's import this data grid. And finally, I'm gonna call this data grid. And here, let's delete this. We don't need it. So everything looks okay. Let's check here. Okay, perfect. As you can see, by last name, age, we can select them. Perfect. So let's change these items. I will come here and let's delete them. And here I will say username. Let's write here Jon Snow. It's John? Really? I thought it's John. Okay. I watched this 8th season, but I didn't know this. Okay. Let's delete them. And here, I'm gonna add avatar. And I'm gonna paste here some link. And after that, I'm gonna add email. john@gmail.com. And status will be active. And let's say transaction. How much did you pay for us? Let's say 120. Okay. So I can copy this and paste a couple times. Let's change IDs to 3. I'm not gonna change username or other things. It can be just Jon Snow. Let's say 9. Okay, 10. If I do that, we can't see anything. That because our rows and columns are not same. Let's come here. For ID, it's gonna be ID. And we change here, it's gonna be username. And header name will be, let's say, user. This time we can see this username. And it's gonna be email. And header name, let's say email. And status. We can delete this, it's not gonna be number. And finally, let's delete this. And last thing will be transaction. And I can write here transaction, maybe volume. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I wrote home. Oh. Okay, let's change this. It looks strange. Okay, by the way, you can arrange this width here. For example, for transaction, let's change this 160. For status, it can be 120. Let's check. Okay, we can see this ID. Maybe we can increase this. Okay, it's here. For email and username, let's make them 200. Okay, perfect. Right now, I'm gonna show you something different. Of course, you can use them directly, but also you can render different output. For example, you might need to add here user profile picture, or here green dot for passive, you can add red one, something like that. What I mean is you can create your own column rule here. So how I'm gonna do this? For example, for username, I'm gonna change this. I will say user. And this time I'm gonna add here render cell. So it's gonna take parameters and it's gonna return something different. What I want to return, it's gonna be div, for example. And inside this div, I'm gonna add my image, and its source will be what was our profile picture. Let's check here. As you can see, it's avatar. We can use this. So how I'm gonna use this? I will say params and rows and avatar. Okay, we have warning here that because we forgot adding here alt, it can be empty. And additionally, next to this image, I'm gonna write my username, and it's params and row, and it's our username. Let's check. By the way, it's gonna be row, not rows. I will save and let's check. But it looks strange that because we didn't give any style and it doesn't fit inside this cell. So what I will do here, I can give my style. You can create inside this CSS also. Let's do that actually. I will say class name. I will say user list user. Okay, it's strange, but doesn't matter. And it's gonna be display flags, align item center, and for this image, let's give class name user list image. I will copy this and here width 32, height 32, border radius 50%, and object width cover. And I'm gonna give margin right, that because I wanna give space between this image and username. Okay, let's see. As you can see, it looks perfect. So what else I can add here? I can add actions, and I can add my edit and delete buttons. Let's do that. I will come here, and after transactions, I'm gonna add one more field. It's gonna be field, and I'm gonna say action, and header name, let's say action, and width is gonna be 150, and I can render my cell. I will say render cell. It's gonna be params. I'm gonna return something different. What I'm gonna return, it's gonna be edit button and delete button. So let's create here button and user list edit, and one more, but this time I'm not gonna create button. I'm gonna create material icon. Let's go to the icons. I will say delete, and this one is good. I will copy and paste here. Import delete outline from material UI icons. So I can add this here after this button. If I add this like that, delete outline, as you can see, there is an error. That because we can't use multiple components here like that. It should be some parent. You can create here div, or basically you can open React fragments here and close here. It's basically the same thing like div, but it's not appearing when we open the source. Okay, let's see. I will come here. As you can see, they are here. So I can give class name for this also. Let's copy this and paste here, and it's gonna be delete. Let's arrange them. I will paste this here, and border will be none. I will give border radius, it's gonna be 10 pixels, and padding 5 pixels, 10 pixels, and background color 3BB077, something green, like this. I can change text color, it's gonna be white, I will give cursor pointer, and I will give margin right for delete button. Okay, so when I click this, as you can see, it's selecting here. To prevent this, I can go to the data grid here, and here, and inside I can say disable selection on click. Okay, let's take back. I'm clicking. As you can see, it's not changing, but I can select here. Perfect. So I can change this color also. What was the name? Let's copy this. Color will be red and cursor pointer. Okay, perfect. So what else I can do? I can maybe increase this item number. Let's come here, user list. And here, page size, as you can see, you can change this. Let's say 8. Okay, perfect. I can go to another page here. Awesome. So we finished this page. I wanna click this and go to the single user page. How I'm gonna do this? As I said before here, we are gonna use these links. Let's do that. Actually, I can add this inside my dummy data. It looks really messy here. I will open. And I'm gonna say export const user rows. So I can import this. Let's close. And here I will say import user rows from dummy data. And I'm gonna pass this as data, as rows. Let's check. Okay, it's still here. Let's use this link. This is our edit button. I'm gonna create here link and close and cover this. As you can see, it's from React router DOM. So I can indicate my path here, my URL. I will say user and this user's ID. So how I'm gonna do this? I can cover this with curly brackets and I will say plus, remember how we are using these params. I will say params and row and ID. Let's check. As you can see, pay attention on the left bottom. User 1, 2, 3. So when I click this, we are going to user 3. Perfect. So right now I can create single user page. We can update this also, but before, by the way, I forgot this. When I click this delete button, I want to remove this item inside our array. Let's come here. Well, I will say I'm gonna use state hook here. Const. It's gonna be our data and set data. And I will say use state hook. As you can see, it's from React. So what I will say, it's gonna be user rows here. So this time, we are not gonna use user rows inside our data grid. We are gonna use our state. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. Nothing has changed. But why we are using this? That because we can set this data whatever we want. For example, when we click this delete button, we can set this data using this function and we can delete this related user. So let's do that. I will come here for this delete. I'm gonna say on click. So when I click this, it's gonna call a function which is handle delete. And it's gonna pass our user ID. I'm gonna do the same thing. I will say params and row and ID. So we don't have any function like that. Let's create. Before these columns, I will create const handle delete, and it's gonna take our ID, user ID, which we passed. And here I'm gonna set my data again. In the initial state, it was our user rows from dummy data. And this time, what I will do, I will say, take this data and filter this. And for each item inside, make a condition here. If item.id not equal this ID, it's gonna set our new data. So what I mean here, let's open here dummy data. This is our user rows. Here our initial state. When we pass here our user ID, for example, I'm clicking third one, it's gonna pass this user ID, which is 3 here inside this function. So it's gonna take this here. This is gonna be 3. And we are gonna set our data. We are gonna filter our initial state, which is user rows. So it's gonna look at every item. So if this item's ID is 3, it's not gonna return this. So it's gonna look, for example, here. Is ID is 3? No. Okay, it can stay. Is ID is 3? No. Okay, stay. ID is 3? Yes. So it's gonna remove. So filter is working like that. So let's give space here and save. So let's check here. I'm trying to delete. As you can see, it's deleting. If you don't recognize because of username, you can look here, ID. I'm deleting 8 and it's going. I'm deleting 10, it's going. No rows. Perfect. But if I refresh the page, it's gonna come back. That because we are not saving anywhere, but it works perfectly. So I can create our update user page. I will click this and it's gonna open up here. Let's do that. I'm gonna create another page. It's gonna be user page. It's gonna show our single user, but at the same time, we are gonna able to update our user. So let's create user JSX, user CSS. I will close them. Okay. So I will create my function. It's gonna be my CSS file here. And div class name user and user. So let's do the same thing. This is our main container. Here I will say flags for. Nothing has changed because we didn't indicate router. So let's come here. I will duplicate this, and this time it's gonna be user. And additionally, I'm gonna write here colon and user ID. So this means basically, look at this path, and after this user, it can be anything, any number, any string, and it's gonna be our user ID. So here, it's not gonna be user list anymore, it's gonna be our user. I will save. Let's check here. As you can see, it's here. Perfect. So I can give padding here. Let's close this and I will split this screen and close here. Okay. I will say padding 20 pixels. So I can add here my title, but before I'm gonna create a container that because we have title here and create new user button. So it's gonna be display flex. So let's create this div. I will say user title container, and inside my h1, my title, it's gonna be edit user. I forgot class name, user title, and after that, let's create a button. User add button. Oops, and I'm gonna say create. Okay, I will copy this, and here it's gonna be display flags, align item center, and I'm gonna separate them. Just 5 contents, space between. Let's see. Oh, I forgot again saving. I will save here, and let's check. Okay, this is our title and bottom. Perfect. So let's arrange this. Create button. This name, I will say width 8 pixels and border none. Oops, none. And padding 5 pixels. Background color, let's say teal. And border radius will be 5 pixels. And cursor pointer. Okay, let's change this color. Color white. And font size maybe a little bit bigger. 16. Okay, nice. So I can create here user container, and we are gonna create 2 widgets here. First one will be our display user. We are gonna see all informations about user, and here I'm gonna create a form, and we are gonna able to update our user. Okay, I will say user container, and inside this, let's say user show or display, and one more is gonna be user update. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this and make display flags. And for show and update, I will say flags 1. And padding 20, and I'm gonna add our box shadow. Let's come here for this small widget, for example. I can copy this and paste here. So I will copy this and paste again. This time it's gonna be user update. This time it's gonna be flags 2. But I can give margin here. Let's say margin left 20. Okay, by the way, I can give margin here also for this container. Margin top 20. Okay, perfect. Let's come here, and inside show, I will close here. Firstly, I'm gonna create my profile picture, username, user job title, and after that, any other account details. So to do that, I'm gonna create 2 more div here. Let's say user show top and bottom, and here it's gonna be my image, user show image, and I'm gonna copy and paste my image. Okay, and after that I'm gonna create another div that, because it's gonna include our username and user job title, so let's say user show top title, and it's gonna be span user show username, let's say Anna Becker, and it's gonna be software engineer. And I will say user title. Let's shrink this a little bit. Okay. So let's check here. There is a beautiful girl here, and username and job title. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this container display flags. I will copy this top. It's gonna be display flags and align item center and user show image. Let's say width 40, height 40, border radius 50%, and object width cover. As you can see, they are in the same row. So let's do this. Flex direction, this top title, I will say display flex, and flex direction will be column. Oops. No. Okay, perfect. Maybe space here, margin left. Okay, so I will increase this font weight and reduce for this one. Username, font weight 600, and for user title, font weight 300. Okay, awesome. So right now I can write here user information. Inside this bottom, I'm gonna create a span here, and it's gonna be user show title. And it's gonna be account details. I'm gonna use an icon, and let's check here. I will say perm identity. I will copy this. And let's import, as you can see, from material UI icons. Okay, so right now I will create my username. Let's say span user show info title, and back 99. So I can give class name for this also. Class name user show icon. So let's see. Okay, this is our title, and this is our item with this icon. Okay, so I can wrap this with a container. Let's say user show info. I will move this here. Okay, so I can duplicate this item, and it's gonna be maybe birthday, and here number, and email, and here let's say address, New York, USA. Okay, so I can change this icons. It's gonna be calendar today. Let's import, and phone Android, mail outline, and location searching. Okay, let's see. Perfect. So let's change the styles. I will come here, and for this title first, I will paste here. I will say font size 14 pixels, and font weight will be 600, and color, it's gonna be light gray, but darker, something like this maybe. Okay, let's see. Okay, but I can give margin here for this bottom. I will say margin top 20 pixels. Okay, nice. So let's take care of this info. Display flex, align item center, and I'm gonna give margin for top and bottom. And color will be 444. Perfect. And for this icon, I can make them a little bit smaller. Font size 16. We can't see it. Let's write important. Okay, nice. And for these titles, let's copy I will say margin left 10. Okay, nice. But this username and birthday is our account details, but these three are our contact details. Let's add one more title here before this number here. It's gonna be contact details. Okay, it's much better. So we finished our show widget. Let's take care of this edit one. Inside this update, I will say span and user update title, and it's gonna be edit. And after that, I'm gonna create a form, user update form. There will be no action for now. And inside, I'm gonna separate. It's gonna be left and right side. One of them will include our information, and second one is our profile picture. So let's do this. User update. I will copy this actually, and left and right. And inside this, let's create our label and inputs, but I'm gonna wrap them. Let's say user update item. And firstly, I'm gonna say label. There is no HTML4. And I'm gonna say username. And after that, I'm gonna create an input. Type will be text and placeholder. What was the name? And a back. Let's copy this. And let's say class name. User update input. Okay, right now I can copy this and create other inputs for full name, for email, phone, others, and email and address. Okay, I will say full name. Let's copy this name here, and email, inside placeholder I'm gonna paste, and others, phone here, and finally address, New York, USA. Okay, let's see. Perfect. And for the right side, there will be our avatar here and some button to upload new one. And here finally we are gonna create our update button. So this is our right div, and inside I should create new one for this image and button. Let's do that. User update upload. Let's create here an image. It's gonna be my custom image here, and class name user update image. And after that, I'm gonna say input is gonna be file. I can use an icon instead of this choose file button. So let's write here publish. We are gonna use this. So how I'm gonna use, I will say label, and HTML4 will be our input ID. Let's write here ID. So this means basically this is file, so it's gonna take reference to this input. So inside I'm gonna create this publish, this icon from Material UI. Okay, let's see. As you can see, if I click this, it's still opening our file. So if I make this display none, we are not gonna see this anymore. Let's write here. I will say style and display it's gonna be none. Okay, perfect. So if I click this, it's opening my file. Perfect. So let's make this image smaller. I will say width 100, height 100, border radius will be 10. It's not gonna be circle anymore. And object width cover, and I will give margin left 20 pixels. Oops, it's gonna be right because our icon is in the right. Okay, perfect. Something like that. Right now, let's make this container display flags and separate them. I will come here, and for this form, I'll say display flag, and justify content will be space between. Okay, perfect. But I can give margin here, margin top 20. Okay, let's change this, edit this title. I will say font size 24 pixels and font weight will be 600. Okay. And for these items, each item, I will copy, and after this form, I will say display flags. Flags direction will be column, and for each margin, each top margin is gonna be 10 pixels. Okay, so let's change these labels. I will use this again. This time I can choose every label inside this update item. You can give also class name, doesn't matter. I just want to show you everything. I will say margin bottom 5 pixels and font size, let's say 14. Okay, nice. And for these inputs, you can do the same thing, but you can use class name also like this. I don't want any border, and I will say width 250. Oops, I forgot none. But I will say border bottom. I just want a border only on the bottom. 1 pixel, solid and gray. Okay, perfect. Maybe I can give height here. It can be higher. Okay, so it looks really nice. Let's take care of this right side. I will come here for the right side. It's gonna be display flags again, but flags direction will be column because we have button here. Oh, I forgot. Let's write here. After this div, I'm gonna create a button. I will say user update button, and I will say update. Okay, perfect. So I can separate them, justify content, space between. It's gonna be here, perfect. So for this upload container, display flags again, and align item center. They're gonna be centered like this. I can give cursor for this icon, but we didn't give any class name. Let's give. It's gonna be user update and icon. After this image, I will say cursor pointer. And finally, for this button, it's gonna be border none. Okay, border radius first. 5 pixels, and border none, and I will give padding, cursor pointer of course, and background color will be our main color, dark blue, and text color will be white, white, and font weight bolder. Awesome. It looks really professional. You are lucky that you are watching Lama Dev. Nobody designs something like that on YouTube. Okay, so we've finished this page also. I can do one more thing. When I click this create button, we can go to another page, which is add user. So let's come here for this add button, this create button. I'm gonna add link. Remember how we are using. I will import from React Router DOM. Okay, I will cover this and I'm gonna say to where it's gonna go. Let's say new user. Let's see. I'm clicking and we are going to new user. Perfect. So let's create this page. I can close this, and for pages, I'm gonna create new user page. Inside this folder, my JS file, new user.jsx. Oops, why I said new page is gonna be new user. Okay, and new user CSS. Let's create our function, rfc, and CSS file here. And it's gonna be new user again. I will make this flags for again. Don't forget this, it's really important. So let's go to the app.js and indicate our new route. I will duplicate this and path will be new user. And we are gonna call our new user component. I will save and it's here. Perfect. So firstly, let's create our title. I will close this and here I can separate them. Okay. Oops, not here. Here. I will create h1 tag and I can say new user title is gonna be new user. And after that I can create form and new user form. There is no action and I can create form items. So what I will say new user form item or just item, and label firstly it's gonna be username and input, let's say placeholder John. I will copy and paste this. It's gonna be full name, let's say John Smith, and email, it's gonna be email here, not text, and let's say john@gmail.com. And I'm gonna say password, type will be password also. We should hide this. And what else? Phone and address. Phone, let's write here something 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And finally, address. I will say New York, USA again. Let's see. So let's add something different, not only these inputs. Maybe we can use gender and active. Let's say new item, but this time it's gonna be gender, radio, and there is no placeholder. Name will be gender and ID will be male. And value will be male also. So I can add label for this male. Let's say label. HTML4 will be male, but we are using React, so you can use here for like that. So I can duplicate this for female and others. Female. Other. If you are a LGBT activist, I'm sorry I can't write every gender here. Okay, it was not funny. I'm sorry. I'll say female and other. Actually, let's make them capital and other. And by the way, I can wrap this with a container. Let's say new user, gender. I will take this here. Okay, let's see. Okay, we can't see them. That's because it's not our text. It should be here. And it should be lowercase. Okay. I remember right now. Female. Other. Right now it looks properly. Let's create one more thing, and it's gonna be our active buttons. So new div here. And I will copy this. It's gonna be active. So this time we are gonna use select here. And class name will be new user select. And name, let's say active. And ID active. So inside this, I can write my options. Option 1, it's gonna be yes, and second one will be no. So I will say value, it's gonna be yes. And for this one, it's gonna be no. So let's see. As you can see, we have a select button here and we can choose yes or no. We finished here. Let's come to CSS file and arrange our items. Firstly, let's look what we have here. You have form. I will say display flex. If I do that, as you can see, they are in the same row. What I will do here, flex wrap, is gonna be wrap. As you can see, if it doesn't fit here, it's gonna move these additional items in the other line. So what I mean, you will understand better right now. If I choose this item, and if I make this width for 100 pixels, for example, as you can see, 2 of them here, and third one doesn't fit here, so it's automatically moves to other line. And this is same also. If I make this browser smaller and shrink like this, as you can see, it's automatically moving to other side, other line. Okay, so what else I can do? Let's move this here. And I will say display flex, and flex direction will be column. I will say margin top 10 and margin right 20. Something like this. So let's take care of these labels. I will use this item again and I will say label and margin bottom. Let's say 10 pixels, font size 14 pixels, font weight 600. And color will be gray. Okay, maybe lighter. Okay, it looks good. And for these inputs, I will do the same thing. I will choose all inputs here. I will say height 20, padding 10. So I can change this border and give border radius 1 pixel, solid and gray. And border radius will be 5 pixels. Okay, nice. So I can change this user gender input. Let's choose this like this. Input. So what I will say, I will give margin top here. Margin top 15. And for label, margin will be 10, font size 18, and color will be 555. Okay, nice. And what about this select? Let's choose this, new user select. I will say height 40 and border radius is gonna be 5 again. Perfect. So what about button? We didn't add any button here. Let's add. Before this form, I will say button, and it's gonna be new user button. And I will say create. Let's take this. I'll say width 200, border none, and background color will be our main color again, dark blue, and text color will be white. Okay, I forgot again saving. Okay, I will give padding 7, 10 from right and left. And I can make this bolder, and I'm gonna give border radius 10 pixels. I can give margin top and cursor pointer, let's say 30, and cursor pointer. Okay, it looks really nice. So we finished this page also. What else we can do? We can go to the product. By the way, we didn't add here link. Let's add here. I will close this and open my sidebar. And for this user here, I'm gonna add link. Let's import this. And I'm gonna say 2 users. And this one, let's cover this, and it's gonna go to products. Let's see. As you can see, it's acting like anchor text. It has its own style. So how I'm gonna get rid of this? You can add here class name. Let's say class name link, because it's gonna be always same. It's independent from any component. So I can write this inside app.js. So it's gonna cover every component. Here, let's say link. What I will say, it's gonna be Text decoration will be none. I don't want any underline here like this. And additionally, I'm gonna change this color. Color will be inherit. So it's gonna take this from its own parent. Perfect. So it's totally the same thing right now. So when I click users, it's going to users page. When I click products, it's going to products page. So we don't have any. Let's create. And here and here. Okay. I can create product list. Product list JSX and product list CSS. So let's create this function. And I'm gonna import my CSS file. And class name will be product list. Let's say list. I'm gonna go to the app.js and let's copy this. Actually, all of them, we are gonna be doing same thing. So it's gonna be products. Let's copy this, products, and products ID, and new product. And here. Okay, so I can change this, and we are gonna change this to later. Let's say product list. Okay, I can see my list here. We didn't give flex for. Let's give. I will copy this, and here it's gonna be flex for. Okay, perfect. So it's gonna be the same thing with users. So you might ask me why you are duplicating this component if it's the same thing. So it's hard to share this component, that because our rendering these columns, this delete function, everything is different. If we pass everything, there is no sense to share this component. That's why I am duplicating this. We are gonna change everything inside. So let's copy this and paste here. Of course, let's copy them and paste here. This time it's not gonna be user rows, it's gonna be product rows. We are gonna change them. Let's open our dummy data. As you can see, it's our user rows. I will copy this and paste here. This time it's gonna be products rows. So let's change this username. We are not gonna use username. It's gonna be name, and I will change this. I will say Apple AirPods. And for avatar, it's gonna be image. And this link, let's choose this and change. And email, it's gonna be stock. And let's say, actually it's gonna be number 128.3. Status will be the same, and this time it's gonna be price. Okay, that's all. So I can call this right now. Again, let's create useState const data set data. It's gonna be useState hook. Okay, I already import, and here it's gonna be product rows. Okay, so I'm gonna open user list again, and handle delete will be the same. and I'm gonna write my columns. It's gonna be different, of course, but let's try it for now. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be product and header name product is gonna be product and product list image. And this time it's not gonna be avatar, it's gonna be image, and this is gonna be name. And here there is no email, it's gonna be stock. Let's make this capital letter. And status will be the same. And this is gonna be price. Let's delete this. Okay. And for this actions, it's gonna be product and ID again. Product list edit, product list delete. As you can see, it's strange. We didn't give any CSS here. Let's open this user list CSS and let's copy and paste them. Product. They are okay. And what else? This image. Of course, I should make this display flex. What was our div name? Product list user, but it's not gonna be user. Let's say item. Display flex, align item center. Okay, so when I delete this, it's deleting. Awesome. When I edit this, it's going to product and this product ID. But as you can see, we see here user page. That because in the app.js, our root is user. So we are gonna change this. That because we don't have any page. Let's create here. I will say product. It's gonna be product.jsx, product.css, and rfc CSS file here, and class name. And here, of course, flex 4. So right now I can change it. It's gonna be product. Okay, again, this CSS file. Okay, let's see. As you can see, we are in the product page. So what I'm gonna do here, again, I'm gonna add title and button. So I'm gonna create title container. So let's say product title container. And inside there will be h1 product title, and I will say product, and one more, it's gonna be button and product add button, and I'm gonna say create. Okay, of course it's gonna be link here. That because we are gonna redirect when we click this button. Let's import this from React Rotterdam, and it's gonna be to / and new product. Let's see. So I can make this display flex, but before I can give margin for this main container. Let's separate this and close this. Okay, so I will say padding 20. Okay, right now let's close this here, and for this container it's gonna be display flags, align item center, justify content, space between, like that. And for this button, I'm not gonna change this title, I'm gonna change the button with 80, let's say border none, and padding will be 5, background color teal, and text color will be white, and border radius 5 pixels, radius, and font size, let's say 16, and finally cursor pointer. Perfect. Right now I'm gonna add something different here. I wanna add here one chart. It's gonna show our last 3 months sales, and here this product information, and finally under them is gonna be update form. Okay, let's do that. I can close this for now, and after this div I'm gonna create product top and bottom. Product top and bottom, and inside this product top it's gonna be product top left and right. It's gonna be our chart, and this is gonna be our info, right? So let's create our chart inside. Remember our chart component, it was reusable. I'm gonna import this. Oops, I can't import, let's import manually. Import chart from components and chart and chart. Okay, if I do that, we can't see anything. That's because we didn't send any data. So let's open our dummy data, as you remember. So what I will do is creating my product data. I will copy this and paste here. This time it's gonna be just 3 months. 1, 2, 3, I can delete them. And it's gonna be product data. And this time, not active users, it's gonna be sales. So I can use this. I will copy and I will call this here import dummy data. Okay, so let's send this as data. I will say data equals product data. So what else we are sending? Remember, data key is gonna be sales, and one more title. It's gonna be, let's say, sales performance. Okay, I'm not sending grid here because I don't want any grid. Let's see. As you can see, January, February, and March, and it's showing our sales, but it's really big. Let's create our right side. Here I will say product info and top, and product info and bottom. That's because top will include our image, product image and name, and bottom will include our ID, sales, active or passive, in stock or not, other informations. So let's create here image, and it's gonna be product info image, and I'm gonna paste here my image, and after that product name. I will say span and product name. It's gonna be Apple AirPods. Okay, For the bottom, divs for each item, I will say product info item, and first one will be our key, product info key. It's gonna be, let's say, ID, and other will be our value 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I can duplicate this. For sales, active, and in stock, let's change them. Sales, let's make this higher, and active, I will say yes, and in stock, it's gonna be no. In stock, okay, let's see our image, name, ID, and others. I forgot colon here. Okay, so before creating this bottom, let's take care of this CSS file. I will open my CSS and inside new tab. Okay, so what we have here, product tab. So it's gonna be display flags, but they should be in same size. So how I'm gonna do this? I'm gonna take this left and right and make them same size. Left and right. It's gonna be flags 1. And for right side, I'm gonna give border shadow, box shadow. But before, let's say padding 20 and margin 20, and let's open one file here, and I'm gonna copy this shadows. Okay, I will save, and we can see because of this image, let's make this smaller. What was the class name? Info image. Width 40, height 40, border radius, and object width. Okay, perfect. They are in same size right now. So let's take care of this container. Let's come here and this info top. It's gonna be display flags, align item center, and for this name, let's make this bolder, font weight 600. And for this info button, I will say margin top 10 pixels, and for each item, I'm gonna say width 150 and display flags, and justify content will be space between. Like this. Perfect. I can change these keys or values. I can change them. Font weight, let's say 300. Okay, awesome. Maybe some margin here. Where is this image? Margin right, 20. Okay, perfect. So I can create edit container here right now. Oh, why I didn't close here? Okay, anyway. So for this product button, I will do the same thing. Let's actually copy here. It's gonna be product button here. So let's close here and we are gonna open again. So I'm gonna create a form here. I will say form and product form, no action. And inside this form, again, I'm gonna split this into 2 pieces. First one will be information, second one will be our upload image container. So let's do that. I will say product form left and right. And inside left, I'm gonna create my inputs. Let's say label and product name and input. It's gonna be text placeholder. Let's say Apple AirPods. So other label here is gonna be in stock. So I'm gonna create select here. Name will be in stock. And ID will be in stock again. And options. And option 1 will be yes, value yes. And one more is gonna be no. Oops, no. Okay, so one more. It's gonna be active. Yes, no again, but I'm gonna change here. Active and ID active. And for the right side, let's create a container. I will say product upload. And I'm gonna create image here. I will say product upload image. And I'm gonna paste my link here. And after that, it's gonna be our button. To do that, I'm gonna create label. And for will be file. And inside, let's create material icon. It's gonna be publish. And after, I can create my input, file input. Type will be file and ID will be file. So I'm gonna make this display none. So style display is gonna be none. So one more thing, after this div, I'm gonna create button, product button. Or here, and I will say update. Okay, let's open CSS file, product CSS, and I'm gonna split. Okay, I will copy this form. It's gonna be display flags and just 5 content space between. And for the left side, it's gonna be display flags again, and flags direction will be column. Like this. And for this label, I will paste this again, and label, I will say margin bottom 10 pixels, and color will be gray. And for input, I will do the same thing. Margin bottom 10 pixels, border will be none. And padding, let's say 5 pixels, and I will give border bottom 1 pixel, solid and gray. Let's see. Okay, so what about this select? Let's choose this select. Inside this form left, I will say margin bottom 10 also. Okay, and for the right side, let's make this image first. Where is our class name? Here. I will paste this, and I'm gonna say width 100, height 100. It's not gonna be circle, it's gonna be border radius 10 pixels. And object width cover, and margin right 20. Okay, nice. So this container, let's come here and choose right container. I will say display flags, flags direction column. That's because we have update button here. We are gonna take this here, column, like this, and if I say justify content space between, we are gonna separate them. Perfect. Actually, I can say maybe space around. Let's try. Okay, it's better. So for this container, I will say display flex again and align item center. It's gonna be centered. And finally, for this button, border none, and I will give padding here. Border radius, let's say 5 pixels, and background color dark blue. Font color will be white, font weight bold, and cursor pointer. Okay, nice. So we finished our product page also. We have here chart, information, and update form. And I click products and edit here. We can reach them. So when I click this, we are gonna go to new product, but it's showing new user here. That's because we don't have any page. Let's create this. New folder, new product. I'll say new product, of course JSX, and my CSS file. So let's create our function RFC, and I'm gonna indicate my new product CSS. This time I'm not gonna forget this, and class name will be new product. So let's create inside our app.js. Instead of new user, I'm gonna call new product. Let's see right now. I'm gonna give flex for new product, and it's gonna be flex for. Okay, so we are gonna do the same thing, so I'm not gonna write them again. So I will just copy and paste. And let's close here. As you can see, we have image, again label, input file, and name, stock, active, our options, and button. Everything will be the same. There is nothing new here. So inside this CSS, I'm gonna paste my CSS file here. As you can see, form, item, label, and button. I didn't write one by one, that's because there is nothing different here. I'm sure you can do this by yourself. You can find this inside our GitHub repository also. So we finished our new product page. So let's come here. Our home page, new members, latest transactions, and our chart here. When I click users, it's showing our all users here. I can delete them and edit, and I can see my user and I can edit this. I can create new one, and for products it's the same. Perfect. So I can add link here also. Let's go to the sidebar component. And for home, I will say link. And I will move this inside this link. And my URL to is gonna be just main URL. Of course, don't forget our class name. Our global class name is link. So I'm clicking. So we are going to homepage. Perfect. So we finished this project. It was our design part, and in the future, when we create a shopping application, movie streaming application, we are gonna enhance this panel. We are gonna add our functions, we will fetch users, products, and any other documents from DB, and we will add new ones, update and delete them. So create your dashboard and stay tuned. And if you learned something new today, please like the video and don't forget to follow Lama Dev social media accounts, join our Discord server, Facebook group and Instagram. So that's all. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.